Good morning. Hello, everybody. I'd like to begin by using this disclaimer that everything talked about in this video is my personal beliefs, my personal opinions, and even though I do have 18 years of experience, I am a licensed chemical dependency therapist. I do know a little bit about what I'm talking about. So if I should um, state some facts that are a little off or um, outdated. It is only the fact that, I've been in certain jobs for a long period of time and, haven't really been challenged with a lot of new information. But with that being said, like the ticker said, let me see if I can find it. You know, um, we're going to talk about abuse, myth versus reality. I want to talk about how certain people have a misunderstanding of what addiction really is. Let's talk about a little bit about abuse of chemicals versus dependency. First, I want to tell you and break down what abuse really is. Um, Abuse in the most primitive form is doing something to change the feeling of enjoying it and trying to stop it and not being able to. And I'm not talking about physical abuse. I'm talking about abusing chemicals, abusing substances. That's what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about physical abuse because there is a difference. So let's say that, let me give you this example. Let's say that you enjoy drinking. Okay, let's talk about drinking. And every day after work, let's say you work an 8 to 5, and you go to happy hour with your buddies. Well, every day that you go to happy hour, you ingest on the first day maybe 2 drinks, the second day 4 drinks, the third day 6 drinks. Okay, every day it takes a little more to get to that desired result. Well, in the course of doing that, you're building up what's called a tolerance. You're building up the tolerance of your body's ability to maintain alcohol in its system and break it down. So, let's say one day, you're scheduled to go to happy hour and your boss says, "Oh, by the way, there's some things going on that I need you to stay late and take care of." So, without thinking, you're like, "Sure, I'll do it. Whatever, no big deal." But in the meantime, you start feeling edgy, anxious, frustrated. Things aren't going as well as, you hope that they would. And then you get through it, but, you show up late at happy hour and you start drinking and you start pounding these drinks and it doesn't hit as right, because your pattern has been interrupted and you can't really enjoy it to change the way you feel. And that is the craving, the triggers, and the outcome. Now let's take that example on how addiction ends up costing you financially, legally, family, emotionally. So let's say that one of these nights whenever you head out to the bar and you overdo it. You're driving home and you get pulled over. Take a field sobriety test, this, that, and the other, and your BAC is over the legal limit, whatever that might be in your state. And you end up going to jail. You bond out, and then the next thing you know is you're home. But how has that DWI cost you? It has cost you financially, it's cost your family, and it's cost you emotionally because there's a lot of things that you had to go through to get free again. And freedom is one of the most important things that people do not really talk about when it comes to abuse and dependency and the whole cycle of dysfunction. But I'll get into that later. So you take 3 weeks off, you're just like going to work, coming home, being accountable to somebody, and then, you know, um, you're just itching. Every day you're just getting more anxious, getting more irritable. Things are just, they're just playing on your nerves. And you can't wait to get out and blow off some steam. So you decide, hey, I'll just go to happy hour tonight. I'll just drink a couple and I'll be okay. It really was a fluke thing. I overdid it. I won't do it anymore, this, that, and the other. But what happens is that night, your tolerance is so low because after not drinking for 3 weeks, your tolerance has been reduced to almost where where it was when you first started drinking. And as they say, whenever you stop and whenever you restart, you pick up right where you left off. So at that point, you start slamming them back. You have that taste again, you have that change of feeling, whether it be excitement, whether it be, calmness, whatever excitement you get from that drink. And you make it home and nothing happens and you're inebriated. So you have to call in sick the next day because there's no way that you can go to work in that state. So there you are again, financially, family, emotionally being affected by drinking. So you start back on your pattern. You're getting into arguments with your wife, your significant other, or whatever, because you're back on that BS, so to speak, and within a couple weeks you get pulled over again and get your second DWI. So this time, you know, you're waiting trial in court for the first one. And this time you sit out just a little longer. The consequences are a little harsher. And you have to dip into your 401k or your savings to get yourself out of jail. So at this point, you've really cost yourself a lot. But you still tell yourself, it's not that big of a deal. I'll fight it. Just leave me alone. I don't have a problem. Um, I can work through this, that, and the other. But this time you show up to work. It's a Sunday night. You show up to work hungover, barely getting out of jail, and your boss understands where you've been, what happened, and he lets you go. Oh no. Now all of a sudden, financially, You've been affected. You lost your job. Emotionally, you're angry. So there's the emotional aspect of it. Your family is distrusting of you. Law enforcement's involved. The court system's involved. But you're still telling yourself, I was just going after work with my buddies for happy hours, not that big of a deal. That, my friends, is denial. And that the fact that you tell yourself that is your addiction talking to you. Many people don't understand the difference between their conscious mind and the unconscious mind of their addiction. So the addiction is telling you, hey, everything's okay. It's not that big of a deal. You're going to be all right. You know, just keep on going. It's okay. That denial factor. You don't have that big of a problem. Just don't worry about it. So you've lost your job. It's hard for you to get another one because you have to be honest about what's going on. So you get a lot of downtime and you start thinking about, am I going to jail for long term? What's really going to happen? Is is my family going to be able to stand by me through this? All this stuff. So the tension starts building. And you say, I know what can bring this tension down. I'll take a couple drinks. So you go to the store, you buy you a six pack. Well, think about this. You're driving without a license now because in most states, as I'm pretty sure, they take your license on your first DWI. So you're driving without a license. So you go get a six pack, you bring it home, you start drinking, still telling yourself nothing's wrong. The insanity has kicked in at this point. Insanity, doing the same thing over and over and over, expecting a different result. But the result doesn't change. Instead of you drinking and driving, now you're at home creating chaos. Your wife comes home, y'all get into an argument, domestic violence situation occurs, the police are called, you go to jail yet again. So that's three times. And still you tell yourself, you know what? I don't have a problem. My problem is you having a problem with how I live my life. So think about all those scenarios I just gave you. And that could be with anything. It could be with overeating, it could be gambling, it could be porn addiction, it could be sex addiction, it could be love addiction, it could be anything that you try to use to change the way you feel because for whatever reason you don't feel comfortable enough with you without being under the influence of something else to change the way you feel and not being able to control it because it goes out of out of the normal aspects of living. It spirals out of control and it changes the way your brain functions. It changes your moods. It changes all of it. So we've highlighted some words: insanity, denial, tolerance, abuse. So these are some of the things that people deal with in the early stages of their addiction. You know, there's a lot of options for you if you are stuck in this cycle. Um, Obviously, in your area, if it's an emergency at any point, you need to call 911. One of the things you should never do is try to quit cold turkey off of opiates or alcohol because you could go into medical emergencies that could even take your life. So it is recommended to be seen by a professional trying to get off these things, amongst others, but these are the most important. So if you're watching this and you feel like you've reached your end of the rope with the addiction part, reach out and get some help. In Texas, it's pound 211. I don't know what it is in other states, but most certainly you can reach out and get some help instead of battling this alone. It's a long process. It's not going to change overnight. It's not. I mean, you're going to experience elation, what they call the honeymoon stage. Once you get off the chemicals and you come off of, that darkness, that depression, that anxiety, and you start to feel quasi normal again, that is the honeymoon stage. You're going to be on fire for life. You're going to be happy. You're going to be all these things. But what happens is real life kicks in. And usually you're coming off the honeymoon stage in a treatment center, in a hospital, in a detox, or something of that sort. So it's very controlled. Once you get to the house or to a halfway house or wherever you're going, then life happens. And for all the good things that have occurred, life starts chipping away at them very slowly. Kind of like my example at the very beginning, three weeks sober, and then you started having all that resentment, irritability, frustration, anger, and you felt the pressure rising and you needed something to take the edge off. Well, this concludes part one of my addictive series. I will be talking about more areas of addiction, dependency, physiological changes, psychological changes, and things of that nature. If you liked what you heard, feel free to subscribe. I won't make a video every day, but I will make enough so that you don't forget what you just heard. And once again, if you're in a medical emergency or you're in a position where you need help professionally, you need to call 911 or receive some kind of assistance, because no matter how extreme you feel it is or how mild you feel that it is, it's always best to be monitored by a medical professional while you're trying to get off these chemicals. I hope that you guys leave some comments, leave some positivity, because it's not easy to get on here and give this information without the fear of retributions by other people trying to disclaim you, or, as they say, debunk your information. I'm not on here to try to be the know it all of addiction. I just thought I'd get on here and try to help some people decipher the differences between some of the myths that are out there, and give some reality of what I know as a professional. Um, like I said, I'm not a know-it-all. I'm not here to harm anybody. I'm here to help people if they need it. Because there's a lot of people that are struggling right now. There's a lot of people that are going through a lot, and they might be utilizing drugs or alcohol or other things to be able to exist in all the areas that they're wanting to change, and have found that they are very far from the beginning of their experimentation, and it's a full blown abuse situation, and it's causing a lot of turmoil in their lives. Well, this is the first one on addiction. I will be doing a little bit of true crime, but um, I don't have as much knowledge on the law enforcement court process as I do in addiction. So to be able to be giving my opinion or knowledge, I really don't like doing that. But I will try. I will try. Like I said, if you like this video, leave a comment, shoot me a like, because it would be nice to have some people to chat with, to ask me some questions. And I hope you guys have a blessed day and take care of yourselves. Bye bye.